Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our meditation and spiritual practice session as we are about just a little under 1 week before Passover. And, our Hasidic masters have shared very clearly that the Passover story is not just a story about outer liberation, but also about inner liberation and inner freedom and the ability to move through the world in God's presence, which is a much more expanded state. The way that they talk about it is that in the story, Moses tells Pharaoh, of course, let my people go, but not just let my people go just to escape slavery, but let my people go so that they can serve God. Right? Originally, it was just leave for 3 days. Let the people go for just 3 days so they can go into the wilderness and serve God. And Pharaoh kind of clamped down, and it ended up being not just for 3 days, but really that's what the freedom is about. And the way that the Hasidic masters share about it is that we have we can talk about consciousness in two different ways. We can talk about mochin dikatnut, which is contracted mind, and that really is characterizes how most of us move through the world much of the time. And really what that is contracted mind is that we are looking out and experiencing the world through the prism of a prism of our thoughts, of our agendas, of our ideas, and many of those thoughts and agendas and ideas are very limited and contracted. And so it's almost as if you were looking through a window that had all kinds of incredible drawings on it, and you were looking at the window and just seeing the stained glass, of the drawing, and it might be really beautiful and all of that, but you don't actually see what's on the other side of the window. All you're really seeing is the light through kind of the prism of your own mind, mochin dekatnut. It's also the way that the spiritual masters talk about it is that Mitzrayim, or Egypt, in the story, right, comes from this word Mitzrayim, Meitzar, which means narrow place. It's another way of talking about that mochin dikatnut, that contracted mind, that we are all in Mitzrayim to some extent or another. And so the whole fundamental story of the Exodus of Yetziat Mitzrayim is the going out, the expanding beyond the Mitzrayim, the narrow way of seeing things. So that really Passover and freedom becomes more about kind of dusting off that window of our own limited way of seeing things and being able to look through the window, be able to be in the world in a way that is present to the vibrancy, the aliveness, the presence that is filling creation every moment, every place. And that's really the Passover story from a mystical perspective, right? Is how we're on that journey. And that's a journey, just to say, is it's not just about one time a year Passover in our tradition, right? It's the fundamental story that we refer to back in everything. We refer to it in daily prayer. For those who engage in daily prayer, every time at the end of the Shema, we always say, remember, that you were slaves in Egypt. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Remember that going out of Mitzrayim, that peace. So that's like morning and night. We're mentioning that, we're reminding ourselves that that's our journey. And then on every Shabbat and every festival, in the Kiddush prayer and in the other prayers, we say, Zecher Letziat Mitzrayim. We're holding up our cup Same kind of thing, bringing it in. This is our story of awakening. The one other thing that I want to add before we move into our meditation is that there is so much in the Seder that is really looked at as tools and techniques and opening to this greater sense of consciousness. If you're able to make my class tonight on at 7 p.m., it's going to be on spiritual preparation for Passover. We're going to go over aspects of the Haggadah that are parts from this more mystical perspective that you can take into your own Sidarim. It is an in-person class. If you have a health issue or something like that, I could send you a link to it. So just let me know. But the one thing that I'll offer for us this morning is that the 4 cups of wine are really meant to be progressions of consciousness from a mystical perspective. So the 4 cups of wine are all rooted in these 4 statements of redemption, which are in the book of Exodus. I will take you out from the burdens of Egypt. You will be my people, yada, yada, yada. There's 4 different pieces. But really, without having those verses right in front of me right now, I can say that in the first cup of wine, we are being aware, bringing awareness that there is nothing that is pressing on us. There is nothing that is keeping us from being able to be present in the moment as we want. And it's the same kind of thing that sometimes meditation teachers say it's about taking the one seat. You know, when we sit down and we meditate, we say, this is where I am right now. None of my other commitments, none of my other things have a claim on me in this moment. In this moment, this is what I'm doing. And that first cup of wine is that kind of centering, taking that one seat. The second cup of wine, kind of at the end of the Magid section, is about realizing in a given moment that everything that I am experiencing in my given moment, whether it is physical body pain, whether it's thoughts that are going on in my mind, are not who I am, right? It's not who I am. That I start to begin to, as I pay attention and I see thoughts about this, body sensations over here, I realize and I acknowledge I am not those things. I can watch them, but because I am watching them and I'm witnessing them, I am not them. That's kind of the second cup of wine in that moment. And really, you know that the practice when we drink the cups of wine is to recline, right? That's part of, you know, Bein Yoshvin Uvein Mesubin from the 4 questions. You drink. And it's always really interesting. When I grew up, I kind of thought, okay, well, what does that mean, recline? Does it mean I have to kind of lean to my left side in this kind of awkward way and drink this way? As I've been kind of learning these, you know, this perspective on the 4 cups of wine, I think that mesubin, that reclining, is really about a deeper relaxation. So it's not about contorting our bodies in this. The whole idea of reclining is how do free people sit? You know, how do free people sit? Now you can try to replicate what they did back in, you know, the Greek symposium where they would lay on couches and free people would do that. And that's kind of the literal meaning of where it comes from. But where we are now is, how does a spiritually free person sit? You know, what is it like to sit in a way that allows the full breath, that feels relaxation? And so that each time we drink one of those 4 cups of wine, the mitzvah of reclining is really about letting go in our body and creating more space and more freedom from that place. So that's the second cup. The third cup is right after the Barech, or the Birkat Hamazon. And in that place right there, we begin to place our awareness on the one who watches, the witness. So if the second cup was about noticing the field of our experience, body sensations and and thoughts, and being able to acknowledge that I experience those thoughts, but I am not those thoughts. Then the third cup is about being able to let our awareness rest in awareness itself, in the very sense of witnessing, of being, of watching. And the question that really helps us with that, and we'll practice that this morning, is who is watching? Who is hearing? Who is experiencing? Not as a question to find a verbal answer to, right? But as a question to invite our attention to rest into itself, to the one who watches. And then finally, the fourth cup, which is at the end, of the Hallel and right before the completion, is being able to, from that place of witness, of expansiveness, to let all duality fall away. It's not just me, the witness, that's watching this anymore. There is only God. And who I am is just an expression of that. There isn't even a who I am, there just is. And that's the kind of final place of liberation. So whether you take those, each of those pieces and work on those in your Seder, or just even having the idea that each cup of wine is a progression in awareness, and the reclining piece is meant to open more fully in the moment during a Seder, is a great direction for our Passover evening. All right, so let's find a comfortable place to sit, where you can sit without moving for a period of time. And we'll start with a melody. Ay, ay, ay. Yada dai 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 ay ay. Yada nai 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 nai. Yada nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai nai nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai nai nai. Yai, nai, nai. Yana, nai, 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 nai. Yana, nai, 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 nai. Yana, nai, 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai nai nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai na na nai 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 nai. Yana nai nai nai. Yai nai nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 ya. Nai nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. Yana nai 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 nai. We're just settling into our bodies, feeling the pressure of our bottom on the chair, the contact between the feet and the floor, the distance between the bottom of your spine and the top of your head, the way your arms hang out of your shoulder sockets and the resting place of your hands. As you pay attention to the breath in, noticing where the air enters the nostrils or the mouth, let yourself notice your whole body breathing, aware of the whole shape of your body as it expands on the inhale, noticing that moment where the inhale switches to an exhale, and pay attention to the whole body as it contracts, as the air leaves the mouth or the nostrils. And then notice that place where the exhale switches over to an inhale again, letting your awareness be open, noticing the expanding of the body on the inhale and the contraction on the exhale. Welcome all sensation that accompanies the in and the out. Itching sensations, tight, warm, contracted parts of the body. Just make the decision that as you are present with inhale and exhale, you are present with every part of your experience. Nothing is a distraction. Sounds, breath, sensation, thought, everything is a part of this breathing, of this moment. Feel the strength of your decision to be here now with body and breath. The decision that's motivated by the knowing that the only reality is here and now. And that everything, being an expression of the divine presence, is worthy of our attention. Let yourself open to every part of your experience, like opening to a symphony, where each part, each sensation, each breath, each thought, each sound is all an instrument. Each one is an instrument in the symphony. Open to the symphony, to hearing it all at once. The glorious unfolding of this moment and this moment. And as you pay attention to breath, you can notice that you are not your breath. You can notice your breath, but you are not it. And as you notice, pay attention to your body in space, the sensation of your chest and your back, the contact of your legs and the ground, your bottom and the chair. That you can notice all of those sensations and know that you are not them. You notice them and you are not them. You notice the entire symphony. You hear the wholeness of every part of the moment, breath, sensations, all the instruments playing in this moment. And you are not them. Who are you? Again, not a question for your mind, but an invitation to rest in your own noticing, your own awareness. In the same way that you notice when somebody else listens to you, that you feel their presence with you. Notice your presence with your moment-to-moment experience. Notice your watching being. The very sense of here-ness, of being here. When you bring your attention to the witness, the details of what you're witnessing are not so important. We rest in the very act of witnessing itself. And in this beingness, this witnessing, there is no agenda. There is no striving. There are no limits. There's just presence. Alive and vibrant and infinite presence. Let yourself just rest in your very own presence. Presence of the One.
That was lovely, Rabbi. Thank you. Where's my cursor? I wanted to say a few things to you, but I'm going to start with a very quick Passover poem from Haya Lester's book. And it's so connected with letting ourselves be free at Passover. It's called Feel Free. Here's to freedom of every flavor. Free to be dumb as a doorknob that opens wide. Free to fall flat as a matzah, sanctified. Free to be broken as an afikoman. Free to be bitter as morer, and let the bitter be. Free to be so haroset sweet that we're sappy, sticky, messy, and accepting. Free to be split like the reed sea, like atoms with nuclear energy. Free to sit and tell stories all night of how we got here, and wow, we got here. Free to leave and free to believe. While I'm going to share a few things with you, I want you to feel free to raise your hand, ask a question, to give me some input. I want to tell you first off that one claim to fame that you guys probably don't know is I got awards during high school for being the fastest, most accurate typist. I'm still a very good typist. And so every time that Kavod has done a session with us, I open a document, and just like a court reporter, I'm typing so much of the wonderful things that Kavod has to share with us. So I have not only our videos taped, but I have documents that reflect some of the good thoughts and learning. And I thought in my mind, I know that sharing meditation with others is kind of a hard nut to crack. And I mean, with other people. And if we maybe frame it as some extra time with Kavod, connecting with Kavod, getting some wonderful learning from Kavod, people might go on our videos and connect. We could even have a beginning tape for beginning meditators, just a separate introduction to that. Just trying to think how we can spread this word. So I wanted to share that with you, and then tell you that a long time ago, actually 40 years ago, Ellen and Duncan had a little boy, Zachary. Rob and I had a little boy, Jonathan, and our really good friends, Barbara and Michael Jarman, who were members of Temple Bethel, had their son, Matthew. And the three boys grew up together, did lots of things together, still remain connected to a certain extent. And Matthew and Jonathan studied magic. And even today, still, Jonathan puts on magic shows for birthday parties and for the police department. Can you believe it? For the SWAT team. He puts on magic for the SWAT team. So Matthew went on to be actually accepted into the Magic Castle in Hollywood. And then he went on to study in college and do an MA and a PhD in consulting and meditation. And so I want to show you something. This is the most recent document that Matthew puts out, which I'm very happy to copy for you, or you can go on his website and get it directly. It's called Tools for Mental Fitness. Are you mentally fit? A short guide to meditation, version number 3. So again, his company is Productive for Good. And I'm really happy to just copy this because I'm old fashioned, Xerox, and then send it to you. But the cutest thing is, are you ready for this, guys? This is so cute. It's called Meditation Cheat Sheet. Look at that. Meditation cheat sheet. So fun to have it really handy. So anyway, and the first thing he says, step number 1 in the cheat sheet is label. Label your thoughts and emotions during meditation and daily activities. Thought, anger, fear, joy, label them. Number 2, you're going to like this, Ellen. Meditate on your breath. Clean your mental windshield daily. Focus on what it feels like to breathe. Label any distracting thoughts, emotions, or physical sensations, and return to your breath. Aim for 20-minute sessions. Number 3, compassion meditation. Develop compassion towards yourself and others during and outside of meditation. So I have that to share with any of you that want to have that. Any questions? Anyone? Hands going up? Anyone want to participate? Okay, Audrey.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for the wonderful meditation, Rabbi and Kathy. Wow, I loved the poem, and I didn't get the title of Tools for Mental Fitness by what's the name of the company?
Oh, it's by Matthew Jarman, and Matthew Jarman's company is called Productive for Good.
To save you from having to print it or whatever, can we go find these on our own?
I'll put it in the chat. I will type Matthew Jarman's, what do you call it? What do you guys call it?
The link?
His link. Oh yeah, that's the word. Productive for good.org.
I'll let you know, Kathy, that he and I did spend an hour together on Zoom at your recommendation, and what a soul brother, So I'm hoping to find some excuse to visit him in Ithaca.
Oh, that's great. Maury, did you have your hand up? I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk. Can't hear you yet.
No, because it kept saying leave meeting, and it was popping up. Okay, I'm here. Yes, well, first of all, I have 2 people to thank. Rabbi Kavod, thank you so much. And that was a surprise, Kathy. You popped up and you had so much to offer. My goodness. I love that story about you typing. That is so great. Little known facts of great importance, right?
Yeah.
And, it was just having the both of you be in leadership was just wonderful. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I did have a question, Rabbi Kavod, about all that wine drinking, because as I always wondered about that, because if you actually drank all that wine, you would be going away from consciousness. You would be losing consciousness. So it's not, I mean, you're not really supposed to drink that much wine, are you?
Well,
I know this is a technical question, but
yeah, no, it's a good question. Really, I mean, it depends on how your seders are. So if you were doing a traditional seder, right, you have 1 cup of wine at the beginning, and of course you can choose, I mean, the halacha is not for how much a log of wine is. It's not a very large cup. But then really, you don't drink the 2nd cup until the end of the Magid. So that's really like an hour and a half later. You know, and you've got, I mean, again, if you're doing a traditional Seder,
oh, okay.
do a more abbreviated, but if you're doing a traditional Seder, you're gonna have at least an hour and a half later. Then you're gonna have dinner, right? So you're then getting full. And at the end of dinner, you're gonna have another cup of wine. You know, and then, so really, I think that for the most part, I don't really even, I mean, all of us are different, but it's very possible to not really even feel the effects of the wine until you kind of get to the 4th cup, because to have the 3rd and the 4th, those are closer together in time towards the end of it. And 2 cups might be, you know, in that. So it's spread out. It's spread out.
Because I mean, I appreciate the idea of increased consciousness.
Yes. So, and the other piece is, right, you don't have to drink wine. You can also have grape juice for all of us. But as far as the wine kind of goes, there's also another sense, at least that the sages have, of that with the right amount of wine, not too much, but the right amount, there can be a loosening of tightness that can allow for that expanded consciousness. Again, everybody has their own point of where it becomes just a loosening versus a more more
Right.
unconsciousness inebriation, and you gotta play that. It's not I don't think it's a black or white thing. I think it's
No, I was getting a little technical, but thank you.
Well, Rabbi, you're right. We are all different in our tolerance of alcohol. And Ellen and Duncan can tell you that 2 swallows of alcohol for me and everybody's laughing at me at the table.
This is so off the subject of meditation, but Kathy is very fun at that point.
Let's see. I wanted to give you another poem, and this is actually from Vince Scully, you know, who's the reporter, he's passed, but his poem was published in the LA Times after he spoke, and I just think it's really worth repeating. Are you ready for it? May God give you for every storm a rainbow, for every tear a smile, for every care a promise, and a blessing in each trial. For every problem life sends a faithful friend to share. For every sigh a sweet song, and an answer to each of our prayers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
So I have other videos and other things to share, and I did sign up for more times on our schedule, and we'll do those others when Kavod can't join or if somebody else isn't a leader. So I'll share other stuff another time. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It's been such a pleasure, Kathy. Just so you know how this happened was, Kathy already was signed up to lead here, and then I also became available, and so we just talked about how we could both offer something, and what a joy it was this morning.
Yep.
So appreciative.
Yeah. Very nice.
Very
We all benefited.
It was wonderful to see everybody. Have a marvelous day. I won't be here next Tuesday, so I wish in advance, I'm wishing all of you a wonderful Seder, a great Passover, and a meaningful one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy
Just
Thank
want to
you.
let,
And
Loves everyone.
just to
Same
let
to
everybody
everybody.
know, this
Happy
Friday night,
Passover.
this Friday night is our refugee Shabbat. So
Yes.
we're going to have a wonderful speaker, Ukrainian refugee Bogdan, who is the family that we're sponsoring as a synagogue. And so some beautiful, also being showcased in the rotunda is going to be pictures and stories of our very own congregants who have had the refugee experience. So if you want to know a little bit more about some of the people that you know of their story and what they've gone through, that will be there as well. And so an early Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. Look forward to connecting with everybody soon.
And just to mention, Rabbi Kavod, I happened to interview 3 of those people, and you won't believe what they've been through. You won't believe it.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you for being. Maury was a critical part of putting on this whole refugee.
Well,
Shabbat, so,
a little part.
yeah. So the Shabbat if you're not able to be in person, it will be live streamed. So it will be on the live stream. You go to the website under worship, it says live stream under that thing, and you go there, and that's where it will be. All right, take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Kavod. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Bye-bye, everyone.